What is the first thing that comes to your mind when I bring up the word manipulating? And how many of you here can guarantee that you've never, ever in your life manipulate anyone? Finally, do you think that manipulating someone is a terrible thing to do? If your answer to the last question is yes, congratulations, I've just successfully guilt-tripped you. Now, leaving that third question aside, don't let it slide though. Keep it in mind and answer it again at the end of my talk. Now, some of you might be wondering by now, what is a girl my age going to show you about manipulation? What if I tell you that all of us sitting here has all been manipulators since birth? When we were babies, we cried to get what we wanted. We cried when it was time to eat. We cried when it was time to get our diapers changed. We basically cried for everything we wanted. Now, what do you call that? I'm calling it manipulating. And now that takes us back to the first question of how you define manipulate. Growing up, the people around me always tell me that, oh, stay away from manipulators. Don't let others manipulate your emotions. Now, the majority of people who I've actually asked the question of what is manipulating take it as one of the most sinful things to ever be done. Now, here's the thing. Most dictionaries only define manipulation as having control or influence over something or someone. So that raised a question in me. Is manipulating bad? Or are we not knowing how to use it properly? Now, I didn't just come up with all of this, so I was overcoming an extremely toxic relationship. So after the breakup, me and the guy, the one that I was dating, went out for a talk. And I was planning to keep things simple. We're gonna end it nicely, no pressure. But then he didn't even look me in the eye. And he told me that next time, don't just love somebody out of guilt. Basically telling me that I shouldn't date someone just because I feel pity for them. Now let me tell you, I haven't felt the least bit of guilt, not during the relationship, not during the breakup, but at that time, after that very sentence, I felt like I was the most terrible human being on earth. Now that night, when I got back home, I thought to myself, was this dude trying to manipulate me? It sounded like he was, but I couldn't put a name to what he was doing. Voila. That's how I found out about guilt tripping. The act of when one makes others feel guilty, regretful, or sometimes question their decision or choices. Now let's take this as an example. Let's say you're inviting a friend to a party. Imagine I'm you and this is your friend. Now there's two common ways of really inviting the friend. You could either go like this. Are you coming to the party this weekend? It'd be sad without you. Or, are you coming to the party this weekend? It'd be fun. Now here's the thing. Although they convey the same meaning of inviting a friend to a party, the "it be fun" one makes the friend actually feels like they're having an option of whether or not do they want that fun at the weekend. While the other one makes it more like they're gonna have to go. Let's be honest. Who here would want to disappoint their friends? Who wouldn't want their friends to be sad? It's really just a matter of language. Although they deliver the same meaning, one makes it sound like you have an option, and one makes it sound like you're having a responsibility to go to a party. Now, I want to focus on how guilt tripping has been applied healthily. Now, do notice, I'm not going to show you how to avoid guilt tripping or any other form of manipulation. Well, simply because we We cannot. It's impossible. Like seeing how we've been manipulating as babies, where most of the time we're unconscious of us being manipulators. So how could we avoid it? Now, if the two cases I mentioned sounds way too specific, too personal for you, there's actually one more type of guilt tripping that is more common than one might think. It's the act of conveying beliefs, mostly through questions. It sounds complex enough. Here I call it guilt tripping. The public takes it as education. Moral education, to be exact. So, people would call educators teachers. I somewhat call them the greatest manipulators of all time. Now, how do teachers actually, beneficially guilt trip you? Let's say as kids, around kindergartners or so, we would get questions like, oh, would you share your toys with your friends? Or what would you do to make a person smile? A little further up, say middle school, we get questions like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you gonna do to protect your community? Like most of them would say, I'd be a doctor. I'll be a police officer to protect my citizens. I'll help protect my environment. Like there's nobody telling you to do so, but it sounds like the right thing to do, right? Now, the idea here is by engaging education through questions, people would unconsciously lean towards the perspectives that sounds right. Now, have you ever thought of what is right and what is wrong? What even is right and wrong anyways? But thing is, our brain would always process it towards the answer that is more reasonable, more humane, more broadly accepted in today's society, although we didn't know anything in the beginning. While it's in here, it is still thinking that you're the one making the decision and not getting it from somebody else. Now, at the end of the day, like I said, guilt tripping or manipulation might not be as toxic as we might have thought. So instead of trying to avoid it, which we basically cannot, why don't we take advantage of it? Like with the power of language, with the power of guilt tripping, we can produce a more pleasurable, a less tense environment. Give me a sec. Less tense environment. Oh, and like I was always tell my professors, if you can't avoid the problem, enjoy the problem. And to me, the art of manipulating is the unconsciousness of it. And what's better, what's more flawless of a manipulating way than guilt tripping? Thank you.